All right, guys. Reaction Gate is still going. We're still going with the Reaction Gate stuff. Not really, though. It looks like Legal Eagle made a video. It's mostly centered around XQC. But hey, maybe this is the end of Papa Gut, dude. And if it is, I mean, I would recommend you go and follow this channel called the Rob and Dan Channel. It's a podcast that I do with my wife on YouTube. We stream every Sunday at whatever time we feel like it. We're growing fast. Check it out. Some really cool segments, such as We Almost Ruined Our Marriage. Go check it out. Much more transformative content. Okay? Because we don't really do react. We do actually sometimes. But anyway, let's get this going.
Streamers are being so lazy, it might be illegal.
True.
That's right, professional live streamer XQC is facing accusations of stealing content for his own reaction videos while making a complete mockery of other people's intellectual property rights. Oh, hold on. This part's great. Man, I love this guy. Welcome back, Legal Eaglets. Today it's time to think like a lawyer because we're going to be covering one of the most misunderstood aspects of copyright law, fair use. So hold on because
let's see if we're fairly using this video.
Depends. But for those not in the know, XQC is one of the most popular and highest paid internet personalities. Over the past decade, He
used to be a video game guy, and then he's not anymore. So that's it. That's the commentary.
7-year-old French Canadian has cultivated a dedicated following for his unique style of unfiltered commentary for video game live streams and YouTube videos.
I mean, that is my favorite type of commentary. If we're being real, it's just flashing colors, but it really gets me sometimes. You know what's weird though? There's a TikToker that literally just tries to copy him. Have you seen this guy before?
Hit the red part, perfect. Okay, guys, hit the red part, perfect. Wait, it's actually really good. Doing a really good speed. Okay, left side. Bunny hills. Red, perfect. Stairs. Yo, okay, guys, I guess I did the stairs, perfect.
I don't get it. I don't get it. But I see him on TikTok live, and half the time I'm on there, he's got like 1,000 or so people watching. It's just like, it's so crazy that just acting like XQC. There must be something that's stimulating about his voice or the way he acts or something, because people are so weird and they watch a fake XQC on TikTok, and I just don't get it. I really don't get it.
XQC's most recent controversy kicked off when he uploaded a video to his YouTube channel showing himself reacting to another creator's video on the JFK assassination.
About to return to ground level, given spotted Oswald approaching.
Whoa, Chad, what do you think about this? Whoa, Chad, what do you think about this? Oh my god.
Pausing and constructive commentary on selected clips. XQC's video is almost exclusively just him watching the entirety of another person's 90-minute video. This triggered an influx of backlash from other YouTubers who accused—
Well, I think that what really happened, I mean, that did happen, obviously. Holy fuck, I'm getting my ass twisted right now. That obviously did happen, but I think that the bigger issue was that he responded to the criticism. I'm gonna die. Jesus Christ. He responded to the criticism. Like, and had like a meltdown about it. If he hadn't done that, I don't think that there would have been as much of any of. I don't think there really would have been any backlash, frankly. You know, it's something that people will constantly take a. That was a bad impression. Fuck you, bitch. I'm just kidding. I don't think anybody would have really said anything, but they like poked him a little bit, and he took the bait, and then he just decided to go on like a fucking tirade and have a debate with Ethan Klein and do the worm. And the greatest part was that he had talked to Destiny before to like get his debates tactics going well, and he's like, I tried to make him upset. It's just looked ridiculous.
Use XQC of free writing off of another creator's hard work, all while reaping financial rewards via clicks and ad revenue.
Sure.
XQC is saying next to nothing. Again, it's just like, wow, this video is popular, so I'm gonna sit in the corner, and my audience will do basically whatever I say, and I'll say it next to nothing and make free money.
And to make matters worse, sometimes he even keeps the video.
True. And to be honest with you, you know, there is it's a conversation to have about whether there's view theft from that or not. Like whether it actually is taking views from the main video or it isn't. And arguably, I think specifically the way that XQC does it, you have a really strong argument. You know, for someone like me, when I do reactions, I tend to, I like to think I transform the content quite a bit, okay? And so I don't really think that anybody's going to sit through my video over watching the core video in general. You know, if you're watching this, if you're watching me react to this video and you're here for the core video, you would have turned it off by now because I don't shut the fuck up. And I get complaints where people tell me I react too hard. And that's what I like. You know, if you don't like it, then turn it off. You know, there's an argument to be made for XQC, though, because he does such a little bit of amount of reaction that people are not exactly inclined to turn it off due to his commentary, because it doesn't really exist. But then there's a conversation about the audience and, like, audience sharing. And if an audience that engages with the streamer is likely to click on some kind of a documentary and watch it without the streamer reacting to it in the first place, because they're different people gravitate towards different things and different types of content. So there's a lot going on there. You know, like, would the audience, is this guy gonna kill me? No. Would the audience have actually watched it without XQC's reaction? Or, you know, we don't really necessarily know. We don't really know. Shut up.
Video playing while he leaves to use the bathroom or make lunch.
Allowed various work.
That's crazy. He went to the bathroom and left it on? That's fucking wild. I didn't know that part.
Do not post this to YouTube for the lack of react. Boom!
And of course, XQC is not the only streamer who reacts to other people's videos in real time with almost no commentary. It's all over the place.
I like that. It's interesting that he keeps expressing that there's almost no commentary. That leads me to believe that, like, with the commentary, there's a justifier for it. That makes me feel like I'm not going to be fucked. It makes me feel like I'll still have a job. I won't have to get a real big boy job. Wow. Is that Gordon Ramsay? I don't think it's fair to show all these people. Asmongold doesn't shut the fuck up. He showed Asmongold here. I feel like Asmongold reacts hard as fuck. What? This is just them watching Dragon Ball Z abridged and just legitimately watching it.
Now, XQC claims he's done nothing wrong and accused his critics of being envious of his success.
Maybe.
Now, as a YouTuber who has produced my own share of reaction videos and had their videos reacted to by others, this is an issue that is near and dear to my heart, and more importantly, my wallet. And the transformative nature of fair use is one of the most misunderstood areas of the law on the internet. So today, let's take a deep dive into one of the most heated debates on online content creation and fair use that's happening right now. Now, Felix Lengyel, better known as XQC, has spent nearly a decade building a devoted online following as a former top-ranked competitive Overwatch player, turned streamer, and content creator. And on the live streaming platform Twitch and now Kick, XQC regularly chats with fans, hosts reality shows, and broadcasts himself playing video games.
Did he stop doing Twitch entirely? I know that he got a Kick deal, but I didn't know that he completely stopped.
And on his YouTube channel, XQC makes general videos on a variety of topics, including videos of himself reacting to other creators' content, and often re-uploading his live streams. Now, XQC is no stranger to controversy, and if anything, he revels in it. He's been historically suspended from Twitch for various reasons, ranging from a copyright strike for live streaming the Tokyo Olympics to an incident where he uploaded a brief clip of two gorillas mating, which he claims was by accident. And XQC has also blurted out homophobic, sexist, or otherwise bizarre comments during live streams. But ironically, the famously outspoken XQC now finds himself under
typical gamer, am I right?
fire for the things he doesn't say during his reaction videos. Now, most recently, XQC kicked the hornet's nest on July 24th, 2023, when he posted a video onto his YouTube channel titled The Kennedy Assassination, XQC Reacts to Lemino. But XQC's video is not so much a reaction video as it is mostly just him watching an entire 90-minute JFK documentary in silence.
Sure.
A number of
I think that gets into the conversation about different types of like reaction content. You have like I categorize them into entertainment reactions and then conversational reactions, right? Conversational reactions are something that is a lot more prevalent on the more debatey kind of like political side and social and political side of YouTube. And there's really no conversation about whether people are stealing that content or not. And that's probably because that's part of the culture when it comes to that space. Or I guess you could say this space. I kind of am part of it in some instances, of course. I think that part of it is that. I think part of it is that there's a benefit to be found in that discussion. Like, I enjoy people react to my content. I've asked people to do it before. I've only gotten Brittany to react to it because I appreciate the social conversation, and that's also one of the points is to get people to be talking. But then it's really when it comes to this more entertainment style content where there's not a whole lot to really say. It's hard to really give a lot of commentary, at least unless you're like an expert on a JFK's assassination. I think it's kind of difficult to give any commentary on that because it's more of an entertainment. It's more entertainment. It's not really there's not a big conversation to be had. It's not like it's a video about neo-pronouns in fucking Stargate not neo, but regular pronouns. But you get my point. It's just like a video, and what do you really talk about? I mean, there's a couple of times where somebody will ask me to react to something, and I'll either just not do it because I don't feel like there's a lot to say, or there's times where I've started to react and I just turn it off. I'm like, I have nothing to say. If I have nothing to say, then like it's bore. Well, first of all, it bores the shit out of me, and of course, I don't want to post it. Like that would just be silly to me. So yeah.
YouTubers accused XQC of stealing the content of a fellow creator while providing almost zero commentary that would make the video his own. First, it was Bub Films taking XQC to task. Then some ordinary gamers joined the fray, describing the video as garbage. And this isn't the first time that XQC's non-reactive reaction videos have actually stirred controversy. Neo, a YouTuber who creates educational videos, who you can also find on Nebula, criticized XQC for leaving the room 5 seconds into reacting to Neo's video and only coming back.
That's fucking wild.
10 minutes later, which Neo just—
Wait, he left for 10 minutes? What an asshole. Why did I not know this? What the fuck?
Described as XQC, quote, making a mockery out of the fact that he is not reacting. He also provided a graph showing that there was no viewership boost for Neo during and after XQC's broadcast. On the streaming site Kick, which XQC recently made a $100 million deal to join, one of XQC's first streams went south after a member of Kick staff had to jump into the chat to stop him from streaming the entirety of The Dark Knight. He then found himself—
Oh my god, what a fucking goblin, bro. Listen, obviously you shouldn't be doing that, but it is a little bit funny. This guy does not give a fuck. He really just does not care. It's a little bit funny to me. It's, you know, hearing about it. I, of course, would never watch it, but...
temporarily hidden from Kick's directory, aka shadow banned, for a second copyright violation for streaming Breaking Bad. Now, addressing the backlash to the Kennedy video, XQC asserted in a live stream that he paused like crazy and added a lot of commentary to very generous statements.
Bro, I paused like crazy. I had a lot of commentary. Chat, the reason why I didn't commentate is that streams are content. Streams in their entirety are content.
He then claimed he only rushed through because his chat—
well, I mean, streams being shit content in their entirety as a justifier for not actually reacting to content is interesting. Solid.
that was, quote, getting mad.
Guys, I have to entertain the stream. This is the Hassan has used this argument too. I don't understand. It's so fucking stupid. It's just dumb.
And after going on one of his trademark rants, he added, quote,
yes, a lot of it is just watching it. Because that's what chat wants. If I commentate too much, chat gets bored.
now we'll talk about—
well, isn't that... but that's not... the chat gets bored if you talk too much about it? Then they're not there for you, dude. What the fuck? That's ridiculous. Good, get bored, leave. I don't care. I really don't. I'll ramble all I want. That's what this is about. This isn't about you. This isn't about you. I don't do reactions for you, pussy. I do it because I need to talk. I have no one to talk to in my real life. I have no friends. So I talk to the game. I talk to that greater elemental rock spirits. I talk to my character, Pinkle Whirl. And they listen. They really listen.
legal defenses in the future, but this is just classic, the chat got bored, so it's okay to commit copyright infringement.
I agree with this argument.
I'm sure he's fine here. But on Twitter, XQC hit back at some ordinary gamers, writing, quote, I'm watching a vid I like to my people, that's it. Whatever that means. Now, XQC reacted—
well, he said, I'm watching a vid I like to my people. That's what he said. The way he read it was so bizarre. Yeah, what he's trying to say is I'm just reacting to a video that my audience likes, and my audience isn't the same as this other audience, so it's okay. I don't. This will make it okay. I don't know that it necessarily consumes the views from somebody else, because if you're on, well, if you're especially on Twitch, you're probably not a big YouTube viewer necessarily. You know, you're on Twitch for your favorite streamer, but and if you like watching Twitch streamers react, you know, you're probably a bit of a different audience than people who like, you know, documentaries. Although there is, of course crossover. But that doesn't make it okay. But it is a conversation. It is up for debate whether there is actually like a consumption of the content. In my opinion, if you come in to watch, you know, I guess in this video you came in to watch, you know, well, if you're watching my stuff, you came here to watch my analysis of it. But if you came here to watch my analysis of this and you decided like, oh, this is like terrible, I just want to watch the full video, this guy pauses too much, you'll just go in the description and you'll click on under sources. It'll be under this guy's video and you can go watch it yourself. Or you can go into the description and click on the Rob and Dan podcast channel.
To Neo's response with this incomprehensible video.
Chat, did this get re-uploaded? Chat, is this video re-uploaded or not? Wait, it didn't. Wait, it didn't. So what's the problem? So what's the problem then? People say that it's when you upload it to the same platform and that's the problem.
Yeah, so what I think he's trying to say, and don't quote me on this, is that he told his editor or his social media guy not to republish his live stream to YouTube, thinking that that somehow absolved him of copyright infringement.
What's interesting, though, because I agree with what he's saying, I think that if it's going to be wrong on YouTube, why wouldn't it also be wrong on any other chat? Why wouldn't it be wrong anywhere else? The thing, though, that's interesting is that it seems to be that most streamers or excuse me, we won't say most streamers. Most people in general, most video creators on YouTube, like I've seen Mudahar make this argument, I've seen Ethan Klein make this argument, that they don't care if it's on a different platform. They don't think it really matters if it's on Twitch or not. It's just that once it goes to YouTube, and I'm not sure. I mean, that seems a little silly to me. I feel like if you think one is bad, I think you need to think all is bad. That's my opinion. Hot take. So yeah.
That's not the case. Now, what this gibbering mouther fails to understand is that it's copyright infringement whether it takes place during a live stream or during a video on demand or a re-upload. It doesn't matter whether it's live or not. It's still copyright infringement. It just might be harder to actually find.
I could have swore he uploaded it, no? I thought he uploaded that. That was the problem.
If there's no actual recorded video of it, if it was a live stream that just went off into the ether. And actually, when XQC was called out during the live stream of reacting to Neo's video for the lack of commentary, XQC just gets angry and makes some stuff up, talking about some nonsense reaction about the metal of the pillars and stuff.
Metal pipes, cement, football, goal at the back. Wait a minute, chat. Hold up. I think this is a very rare copper alloy right there, chat.
But it highlights the lack of actual commentary.
I'm sorry. It's so fucking stupid. Like, it's so stupid, but it's just so funny to me. I mean, he really just... listen, again, I don't care about the legal stuff. I'm not a fucking lawyer. I mean, I am an eagle, though. I am an eagle. I'm not a legal one. I'm not illegal either. I was born here. But I am an Eagle Scout. And so... what that means is that there is a higher chance I was molested than you. I'm kidding. That was a joke. That's horrible. I have an ADHD. I have a mental condition classified under the DSM-5. I cannot control my speech all the time. Sorry.
You can't just describe what you're seeing and call it commentary. That's not going to qualify. And it highlights the lack of anything of value that's being added and the lack of transformativeness of these reactions. But XQC described some ordinary gamers' take as, quote, unfounded criticism full of personal attacks, and asked some ordinary gamers why this triggers him so much. Now, speaking as a lawyer and YouTuber, the reason this triggers some people, especially content creators, is that XQC seems
I don't think XQC actually wrote that, because there's no way he could form that much of a sentence.
To be basically stealing other people's hard work under the guise of creating a reaction video, which we'll talk about whether it's a reaction or not. But besides the legality of it, there are a wide variety of attitudes toward reaction content in the streaming community itself. Ethan Klein, a YouTuber and co-host of the H3 podcast, has emerged as a prominent voice on fair use and one of the fiercest critics of non-reactive content creators. And on the August 7th episode of the H3 podcast, Klein and XQC debated what counts as fair use with respect to hosting content. XQC accused Klein of doing the same thing by featuring smaller creators' content on his platform.
You keep saying that.
You're doing it.
Not proven.
I will say, because I've seen him react to his content before, and there was like a conversation he reacted to that I was in, and I think Stardust was hosting it. It was like a debate. This was a while ago. And I didn't see anywhere that there was a credit to her video that he was reacting to. Just to be clear, you know, he mentioned her name once, but there didn't seem to be any credit to her actual video. And so on the limited times that he does do reactions, it does seem like maybe he doesn't always credit who he's talking to or talking about necessarily, you know. Because he watched it on his podcast. So, you know, it would have been nice to give her a kickback and, like, here's the video if you want to go watch it type of a thing. But I don't remember that happening, to be clear, you know? And same thing with, like, not to get too much into it, but, like, with his friend Meat Canyon, you know, I know that he's, like, a pretty staunchly against, I think that he has, like, a negative interpretation of reaction content as well, and I get it. But I remember, and I'm not, this is not even like with the intention of plugging this, but I remember my wife and I actually reacted to a Meat Canyon video. It was a fun little thing. It was like a Disney adult video, because we're Disney adults and we're being a little silly. And in the reaction, we noticed something, and that is that if you go to his main video,
Disney adult,
he doesn't credit the reaction video he's doing to. There's no credit in his description, and there's no credit inside of his video either. And every time the guy's video comes up, he actually intentionally blurs and censors his name. And this is a much more highly edited reaction, but it's still, in my opinion, wrong to react to somebody's content and then do the most that you can to remove everything you can, doing everything to completely remove any credit. Now, my understanding is the response I got was like, oh, well, he doesn't want his audience to bully this person, so he took their name out. And while I can understand that, at the same time, if your audience isn't mature enough to not bully somebody else's audience when you react to them, then I feel like that's wrong. You know, I feel like you shouldn't be doing the reaction in the first place. But maybe I'm just fucking stupid. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a fucking moron or something. And I just maybe he reached out to him privately and asked him permission. The guy's like, yeah, go ahead and react. Just censor my name or something. I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything. Maybe I'm just complaining. Maybe I'm just complaining.
You're doing it. You call me a thief piece of when you're doing it.
You haven't proven that. I don't know why you keep saying that.
However, a key difference is that H3 rarely plays a video in its entirety, and XQC asserted that his live reactions give exposure to smaller creators, which set up a furious response from Klein.
Nice try. You literally do it to enrich yourself. You're a multi-millionaire, and you steal content from small creators, and you don't give a about their rights or what they want. You're not creating anything big for anyone. You're just taking attention and views for yourself, and you don't give a about the consequences of that. It's not your decision to make that for other people's property.
Now, the debate devolved into finger-pointing and insults with Klein cutting off the stream, but not before XQC asserted people would rather watch him do the worm than watch Klein's podcast, and he then did so.
Oh, okay, sure. I mean, that's content, man. It's original content, at least. Yes, do that, bro.
And in the wake of all of this controversy, YouTuber Meat Canyon created a parody of XQC in a video he called The Tragedy of a Reaction Streamer, in which XQC is portrayed as a Smaug-like monster, hoarding views, though, ironically, the XQC golem in this video seems to be actually more coherent than the real thing.
Fun, I liked it a lot. Make sure to leave a like, click on the bell, and the thing. And oh shit, I did it under the pose.
And then things got meta when XQC reacted to the video by barely reacting.
I mean, that would be in my listen, if you make a video about somebody, I feel like they don't have to react to it too hard. You know what I mean? If it's specifically about somebody, you know, in that one limited instance, I think it's okay.
And then things got really meta when Meat Canyon reacted to XQC's reaction by barely reacting. So ironically, Meat Canyon's reaction is probably the one that's most likely to qualify as fair use, because under some circumstances, parody can be fair use. And if I was his lawyer...
Well, isn't it his... it's his original video, so wouldn't he have the ability to react to the reaction of his original video anyway? Wouldn't that fall under fair use? Okay.
I'd argue the parody only works if he reacts to the whole thing without reacting. Copyright can be really weird sometimes. Of course, copyright can be...
If anything, that would be an argument towards XQC, no? If you'd use it arguments in XQC's defense just in that limited instance because it's a parody of him and then he would be reacting to the reaction in an ironic way, which would mean it would give him grounds to react to the he would be reacting to the video about him and his reaction would be to not react and ironically, so he would have an argument. But Meat Canyon wouldn't have the same defense because he's reacting to a reaction, but Meat Canyon's original video, it is his, so if he reacts to the reaction, that should be acceptable. You think I could be a... Do you think I could be a lawyer? Do you think I could be a lawyer, guys? Could I be a lawyer? Pretty good at it. Oh, you got Pingle World. Let me invite this guy up and see if he wants to do it with me.
Hard is why you need a good lawyer. But if you want a great lawyer, my firm, the Eagle Team, can help. If you or a loved one has suffered from cancer, suffered an injury or death in the family...
I meant that in the game. I didn't mean to say if your loved one is suffering from cancer, you're a pussy. You're not. That's terrible. I would never say that. I'm so sorry. I did not say that. I'm playing World of Warcraft. The guy declined my invitation. I'm so sorry.
If we're involved in the car crash, we can represent you or help find you the right attorney who can. Just click on the link in the description for a free consultation with my team. Because you don't just need a legal team, you need the Eagle Team. So link below. Now back to thieving streamers. And this is a perfect opportunity to talk about one of my very favorite cases that actually involves Ethan Klein. Now, originally Ethan Klein found fame through his YouTube channel H3H3 Productions, which was hosted by himself and his wife Hila. Now, their content included sketch comedy and reaction videos that satirize internet culture, and it was one of their biting reaction videos that landed them in federal court. Because in February of 2016, Ethan and Hila posted a video mercilessly mocking the video of another fellow YouTuber, Matt Hosenseida, in which his character, the big bold guy, attempts to seduce 11...
If that was my last name, I think I'd change it just so my kids wouldn't have to deal with the bullying in school, you know? It's just fucking crazy to me. It's not wild.
interest using the power of parkour.
Strong shoulders.
Whoa.
You wrote that in, by the way.
I don't recommend that you watch this video. It is the most cringeworthy thing you have ever seen in your entire life. And for some reason, it still exists on YouTube. But the client's 14-minute reaction video included numerous clips of the Big Bold Guy's supremely cringe video, interspersed with their own commentary and jokes. And frankly, they played almost the entire video.
I guess that would be how I would do content. If I was gonna change my content, I would just start doing reactions that are like edited up. I would just do some editing on my reactions, right? That would make sense. I mean, I know how to edit. Then I would just do one of those. Beautiful stuff.
Itself while they were commentating on it.
If I did it too, I probably like if I actually did like edited, if I did like sat down and did a reaction and then I did like highly edited, I probably would like blow up, to be honest with you. Probably be much, people will probably enjoy the content more that I produce, to be honest with you. Should I consider that? I'm gonna start thinking about it. I'm gonna start thinking about it. I don't know.
I feel so objectified.
Oh shit.
You can have me.
Holy
Of course.
And it's just that easy, baby.
And in response, Hodenseide, known online as Matt Haas, sued the pair in federal court for copyright infringement and DMCA violations. And in the original complaint, Haas accused the clients of reproducing virtually all of the work as, quote, nothing more than a prop in their comedy routine. And after the clients posted a video discussing the lawsuit, Haas added a defamation.
I'm not gonna do it. Fuck you. Don't tell me to do it. Fuck you.
Claim as well. But
Bitch.
Judge Catherine Forrest of the Southern District of New York rejected all of Haas's claims, ruling that the client's video constituted quintessential criticism and comment that clearly fell within the bounds of fair use. In her analysis, Judge Forrest highlighted that the heart of the fair use inquiry is the extent to which the purpose and character of the use is transformative by adding something new with further purpose or different character. Noting that commentary and criticism have a strong presumption in favor of fair use, she cites various jokes and comments the clients made about the video, like calling Haas the king of cringe tube, criticizing what they found to be unrealistic dialogue between Haas and the parkour actress, and mocking the plaintiff's parkour ability. And Judge Forrest also analyzed to what extent the client's video...
Oh yeah, well, is Ethan Klein, is he a fucking expert at parkour? Because I've been looking for a teacher.
Usurped demand for Haas's work by serving as a market substitute. And citing the Supreme Court's ruling in Campbell versus Acuff Rose, aka the Two Live Crew case, Judge Forrest noted that lethal parody may indeed hurt demand for the original work, and the injury may even be intentional, but that does not produce a harm cognizable under the Copyright Act. And accordingly, Judge Forrest found injury live crew case, Judge Forrest noted that lethal parody may indeed hurt demand for the original work, and the injury may even be intentional, but that does not produce a harm cognizable under.
What is a lethal parody? Or is that like a parody of something? Oh, scathing review. Okay, a lethal parody is called a scathing review. Okay, so I understand. So the argument here is that if the content reduces the demand for your video because it is criticizing the original video, that doesn't mean that it is not able to go on there. Because I imagine that, well, I'm so articulate. I imagine that if you could prove that somebody reduced the demand for your video through a reaction, explicitly because it was basically a replacement to the original video, then like, yeah, you would have an argument there. But I guess the argument here is that no, they might have reduced demand, but it was because it was criticizing them. But that's justifiable to criticize somebody. So okay.
The Copyright Act. And accordingly, Judge Forrest found that the client's video, replete with criticism and mockery, is, quote, decidedly not a market substitute for the Haas video, holding that the client's video constituted fair use. Judge Forrest then dismissed the claims of copyright infringement and the DMCA violation, and she also tossed a defamation action, deeming the offending statements non-actionable opinions. And Ethan Klein rightfully declared this ruling a huge victory for fair use on YouTube. But in a footnote, Judge Forrest also cautioned, quote, the court is not ruling here that all reaction videos constitute fair use. She then provided helpful guidance for why the client's video was fair use, but other reaction videos might not be. Quote, some reaction videos, like the client video, intersperse short segments of another's work with criticism and commentary, while others are more akin to a group viewing session without commentary. Now, even
oh, it's so interesting because that's so.
This case is 70.
That's so interesting because that's just two extremes. I would argue those are two extremes because the only thing that's referenced there is like, hey, this is somebody doing commentary with short bursts of somebody else's content in there for the reaction versus somebody that's just watching something. Without commentary. It says a group viewing session without commentary. And that's so interesting because it does kind of blur the lines for commentary content like I produce, you know what I mean? Because I feel like I do a significant amount of commentary, but I also show the whole video, and I wonder what the legal ramifications of that was. But in order for that to happen, somebody would have to get sued and then go to court, and then like that's in my situation that does reaction type content, and then they would have to lose. And then I would be like, oh, actually, time to move on, you know.
And commentary, while others are more akin to a group viewing session without commentary. Now, even though this case is 70 years old now, it's a great rundown of the fair use factors, especially in the context of an actual YouTube case, which is why I cite this case in every single one of my video descriptions. And if Lemino or Neo or others decide to sue XQC for copyright infringement, I can pretty much guarantee that they'll quote from this decision to argue that XQC's videos are a group viewing session without commentary, not entitled to any fair use defense. True. So let's run through this analysis for what XQC is doing and figure out whether he has a fair use defense or whether it's copyright infringement. Now, fair use is a legal doctrine that allows unlicensed use of copyrighted material in certain circumstances. As an affirmative defense to infringement, fair use seeks to balance the property interests of copyright holders with the public interest of encouraging freedom of expression and the wider distribution of creative works. And while fair use is decided on a case-by-case basis, there are certain enumerated activities that are laid out in the Copyright Act as potentially qualifying for fair use, and that includes criticism, commentary, news reporting, and research. And that is not an...
Interesting. Okay. Okay, so as long as I'm... Oh, it says criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarship, or research. Is not infringement of copyright in determining whether this, whether the use made of a work in any particular case is fair for the factors we. Notwithstanding the provisions of section, okay, whatever, for fair use copyright work, including such use of reproduction in copies or what the fuck phone records or by any means specified in section for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarship, and research. That's interesting because it says even comment. So again, like all the way that this is read out, it seems like it's possible that it's like, perfectly fine. Okay.
Exhaustive list. And in determining whether a particular use of a copyrighted work constitutes fair use, courts will consider the following 4 factors as codified in Section 107 of the Copyright Act. And no factor is determinative. You have to weigh every single one of them. The first factor is the purpose and character of the use, including whether the use is of a commercial nature or for a non-profit educational purpose. The second is the nature of the...
That's interesting because didn't Disney like sue a daycare center that used stuff like their stuff on their walls or something? So, I mean, I guess this wouldn't really be the same, but wouldn't that kind of constitute fair use?
The copyrighted work, the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, and the effect of the use upon the potential market.
The amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, okay?
For or value of the copyrighted work. So for the first factor, courts examine how the party claiming fair use is using the copyrighted work. And while non-commercial and educational uses are more likely to be deemed fair, making money from the use of another's work doesn't automatically preclude a fair use finding. Okay. Instead, the key inquiry is to the extent the use is considered transformative. And the example that I often use is that Jurassic Park was originally a novel written by Michael Crichton. Then eventually it was turned into a movie, Jurassic Park, created by Steven Spielberg. Now, the movie is a derivative of the novel. And while it was transformative to turn the novel into a movie, you better believe that Steven Spielberg got permission and was able to license the IP to turn the novel into a movie. If Steven Spielberg had not gotten permission, that would have been copyright infringement. And that's why fair use can be tricky, because for it to qualify as fair use, it has to be transformative. It has to create something new, but it also has to be for the purpose and character of one of the fair use categories that the law recognizes as available to use for fair use, whether it's education or whether it's commentary, criticism, or parody. The purpose has to be there, as well as it being transformative. Being transformative alone is not enough, and in fact, that can make it copyright infringement. Now, whether something is transformative is a pretty complicated subject. I could make an entire video just on whether something is transformative, but here's what the Supreme Court said in the Two Live Crew case. Quote, the central purpose of the purpose and character of use inquiry is to see whether the new work merely supersedes the objects of the original creation or instead adds something new with a further purpose or different character, altering the first with new expression, meaning, or message.
Okay, so it's pretty vague. I think I could argue that I do that. Okay.
And in that case, the Supreme Court held that the rap group Two Live Crew's commercial parody of Roy Orbison's song "Oh Pretty Woman" was non-infringing fair use. Big hairy woman, you need to shake that stuff. Big hairy woman. The court also found that the more
wasn't that the whole thing with like Weird Al Yankovic? Didn't he completely rely on that kind of stuff for his parody music? No.
Of the new work, the less significant the other 3 factors are. And as a result, the first prong has historically been the most decisive in fair use determinations. And generally speaking, you're supposed to take the minimum amount necessary to create the transformative work that you're creating. Now, parody is a little bit different.
Guys, it's all all of it's so necessary. Okay.
In an exception, you sort of need to take at least enough for people to get the joke. You have to be able to conjure up the thoughts of the original for the parody to work. But generally speaking, for fair use, you're supposed to take the absolute minimum necessary. Now, there's a little bit of gray area in terms of what is minimum and what's not, but still, generally speaking, you're not going to be able to take the entirety of a work and simply play it in the background. And this is the heart of the criticism against XQC.
Sure, I think there's an issue between simply playing in the background versus some kind of a reaction to it, but okay.
See, namely that his reaction videos are insufficiently transformative to constitute fair use. Now, the second factor is the nature of the
Weird Dog got permission from every artist. I don't think that's even true because he did like his Gangster's Paradise reaction or parody, and he got a lot of like, I think Coolio was so upset with him. I hope I got the people right. Yeah, he got there's a lot of backlash from Coolio for that.
copyrighted work, which analyzes the degree to which the work that was used relates to the copyright purpose of encouraging creative expression. In short, the use of copyrighted material from a work of fiction weighs in favor of finding infringement, while taking from a factual work, likely a news item, is more likely to be deemed fair use. But frankly, the courts don't put very much import for this particular factor unless the work has never been published before.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, especially if you're acting with some kind of a news segment. I just feel like that should be more appropriate for people to do reactions to.
But the third prong considers the quantity and quality of the copyrighted work that was used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. So in other words, fair use is less likely to be found when large portions of a copyrighted work are used, or if you're taking the heart of the copyrighted work itself. So in other words, fair use is much less likely to be—
What does the heart of the copyrighted work mean? I mean, if you're reacting to a video and let's say it's like a positive affirmation or a positively affirming way in some capacity, like wouldn't you show quote unquote the heart of the video? Or the heart of the content you're engaging with to show affirmation or something? Or if you're criticizing it, I guess that's just defined more loosely in some kind of a philosophical way more. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but—
be found when large portions of a copyrighted work are used, and you're much more likely to be able to mount a fair use defense when you only use small portions. But in some contexts, even taking a small amount of a copyrighted material can render a use unfair if the selection constitutes a substantial part of the work or the heart of the work itself. So for example, in a case called Harper and Row versus Nation Enterprises, the Supreme Court held that a news—
I guess Weird Al does usually get the consent, but I'm pretty sure Julio was really upset with him about it.
Article's quotation of fewer than 400 words from President Gerald Ford's 200,000 word memoir, small amount of a copyrighted material to fair use defense when you only use small portions. Okay. But in some contexts, even taking a small amount of a copyrighted material can render a use unfair if the selection constitutes a substantial part of the work or the heart of the work itself.
Interesting.
So for example, in a case called Harper and Row versus Nation Enterprises, the Supreme Court held that a news article's quotation of fewer than 400 words from President Gerald Ford's 200,000 word memoir constituted the heart of the work, and the use was ultimately found to be infringing. And the reason there is because the magazine published the part of Ford's memoir that related to pardoning Richard Nixon, which apparently was the only reason you would ever read Gerald Ford's memoir. So this would be another—
Well, it sounds like he has a boring-ass fucking memoir then. It just sounds like a skill issue to me, pussy.
Strike against XQC, because XQC and these other live streamers are just republishing the entirety of the other YouTube videos and then reacting to it. Now, as we saw in the Klein case, just because you republish virtually all of a video doesn't necessarily mean that you can't mount a fair use defense, but it makes it really, really hard. And the more that you cite, the more you're going to have to add commentary or some new transformative meaning to your secondary video.
Interesting. Okay, so that's interesting. Because it sounds like there's general legal parameters for this situation, but it still doesn't mean that it couldn't be argued in a court of law. And in this case, the argument of the more you use of somebody's work, the more you need to put into it to make it transformative. Again, that argument sounds like it would be in support of the type of content that I make, you know? So, and that's why, hey, that's why I'm watching this video, by the way, for educational purposes. Okay? I'm watching this video for educational purposes to see if my content is transformative enough to continue to produce.
And then the fourth and final factor focuses on whether and to what extent the unlicensed use saps the demand for the protected work by serving as a market substitute. In other words, in assessing this factor, courts consider whether the use is hurting the current market for the original work, for example, by displacing sales of the—
How would they be able to prove that, though? Like, how would you be able to— Well, I guess, I mean, from a YouTube capacity, I guess that's different. Like, I mean, from online or in some kind of a different capacity, I guess you could track that trend better. But how do you track that on YouTube? Because I remember when they were talking, when Ethan was talking to XQC, and at a certain point, he brought up that a different content— I think it was an Internet Anarchist— said, you can react to my content, XQC, and to one of his videos, and he reacted to the video, and then he showed us the trend of after a certain period, there was a fall off in the viewership, and the argument there was like, oh, you took views away from me. Here's proof. But that by itself isn't proof of anything, because we would have to see what the average trends of somebody's YouTube video is and what the fall off typically looks like. You can't just show one. You'd have to show like 10 videos and be like, oh, look, there was a significant higher amount of fall off from this video that XQC reacted to than the other videos that I generally post. Right, so
original or preventing people from watching the original video, and or whether the use could cause substantial harm if it were to become widespread. And I think this is yet another strike against XQC, because when you republish virtually the entire portion of another person's video and then you're not commenting on it with new meaning and commentary, why would anyone then watch the original video? They've already seen the video on your live stream. Now, as someone...
Sure, yeah, you could argue that. Sure, I get that. Like I said, if there's enough, if you do enough, if you're a babbling, if you're a yapper, if you're the mayor of Yapsville, people will turn it off. They'd rather go to watch the core video instead, so it makes sense.
One who has made dozens of reaction videos for this channel, and as a lawyer, who has a vested interest in not getting sued for copyright infringement.
This guy, all he talks about is a fucking lawyer. Jeez, it says cringe is this other guy I know who always talks about his wife. That she's a behavioral specialist. You know what I mean? Like, get a room. Why don't you marry your lawyer degree, idiot?
A lot of experience on how these reaction videos are supposed to work. Or at least that's how Gamerant feels about my channel. But to give another example, when I reacted to the movie My Cousin Vinny, I didn't post the entire movie, and I didn't just show myself watching it, however fun that might have been. Instead, I took clips and punctuated them with my actual legal commentary.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like it is interesting, I will say. Because people will be like, yeah, well, how come you feel like you could react to another YouTuber's video, but you don't feel like you could react to a movie? And the answer to that is that, like, I mean, it's an interesting question. I haven't really thought it out too much. I'm not going to lie and be like, oh, I have the perfect answer for it. But to me, you know, if you lock your content behind a paywall, first of all, you need to significantly transform it, right? That's number one. But number two, if you lock it behind a paywall, I feel like that's a different situation. Like, you know... And that's what that is. It's also generally on a different platform that's not as accessible, right? So like if I right now, let's say I'm reacting to this guy's video, if you come in and you start listening to me talk, you're be like, okay, this is dumb as shit. I'm gonna go watch this original video. It's in the description. It's one click away. But if I start watching My Cousin Vinny in its entirety, you're probably still gonna turn it off because I'm yapping. But since the alternative would be to pay to rent it or buy it, let's say even if it only costs $3, you'd have to do that additional step. And so that would be my biggest thing there. It's also, I mean, I don't know if you could watch it on YouTube, but then we'd also assume it's on, let's say it's a different movie that's only on Netflix. Then you'd have to also have a Netflix subscription. You'd have to go off onto another site, which might not be as accessible onto your computer. So I feel like there's a lot of differences in that case. If they started letting you do Netflix reactions, now that could be interesting. That could be very interesting. But on Netflix, though. Netflix creators, if you start having people react to videos, watch videos, or movies on there, that'd be something else, huh?
You see, the traditional way of making reaction videos is to actually react to the videos. Hey, I just said that. Now, creators who stream for long periods of time assert that, of course, there will be dead air while they eat or go to the bathroom. But the problem with that argument is that...
Well, you just turn the goddamn fucking the content off while you go pee-pee potties, you know what I mean? That's what I do.
By the nature of live streaming,
Joe Dirt,
you can't take the minimal amount necessary as required under the fair use factor. And instead, you're playing the whole thing in real time, and you're not making any discretionary choice as to what is actually republished.
Sure.
And yeah, biology might dictate that you might need to take a bathroom break, but that's not a defense to copyright infringement. That's a live stream.
Piss your pants. Or just turn the video off.
Streamer
pause
problem,
it.
not
Hit the pause
a content creator problem.
I would say that you get like once in a while, if you have to go doo-doo real bad, you know what I mean, and you forget to turn the video off, I can understand that. Because, especially, because like, think about it, like, you know, sometimes you gotta go poops. And especially when you're driving. And I feel like they really need to create an invention for when I have to take the worst shit of my entire life. Because I'm old now, and food will run through my body. That's the only thing on my body that runs. It's the food that goes through my fucking body. There should have a special horn in your car in case you have to take a shit. Called a shit horn. You press the button, emergency sirens come on, And all of a sudden, people in traffic will move out of the way, like, "Oh, this guy's got a dump. We got a brown alert here, guys. We got a brown alert. We have amber alerts. Give me a brown alert." And I think that the way that the hierarchy should be, I think the hierarchy is emergency vehicles, specifically ER vehicles, right? Like the ambulance, police officer. If it's a murder, okay, then poop, then fire department, because those guys are assholes. Fuck the fire department. You know what I mean? Putting those goddamn blue lights on. I know you're not. I know that there's no fire. I know that there's no fire. You're just taking advantage of it, just being a little asshole.
So yes,
Incredible.
leaving to take a break will almost certainly violate copyright due to the lack of commentary, but arguably so does just watching it in real time if there's no commentary being made.
True.
And this highlights why it might actually be impossible for any live streamer to have a live stream reaction where they're just
That's why you guys be pausing so much. But every time he makes a point, I need to expand on it. Okay, even this point of expanding on this is it. This way, I could justify all of it existing.
playing the entire video and reacting. Because there's been no forethought about what's the minimum necessary to make the point of the commentary or the point of the criticism. They're just playing the entire thing and interjecting some little bits of commentary or criticism.
True.
It's like a bean.
And courts don't look fondly when you use the entirety of the work. So yes, you could add some original commentary to your reaction, but if it completely displaces the market for the original, it's probably not fair use.
True.
And it's pretty obvious that once you see a video during a live stream, the way that most of these live streamers do it, you're not gonna go back and watch the whole video again. Let's be honest, this kind of reaction content is—
Yeah, for sure. If you're watching a full video, you're not going to go back to the original. I would generally agree. I don't think that by itself necessarily matters. Again, like if I watch this video is 28 minutes. Well, it's 27:59, but almost 28 minutes, and we've been going for 45 minutes so far, and I have it on 50% increased speed, right? So we're probably going to double, if not even triple, the length of time that this video plays, basically. I would argue that if you were going to watch this video, then you would have went and watched it without me reacting to it. Like, nobody's going to come and watch the Papa Gut version of the video in place of this guy's video. There's just no fucking way. There's just no fucking way at all. Because I'm rambling. I won't shut the fuck up, right? So you're here probably primarily for me. You might think that I have interesting commentary on this, or that like you're just in love with me or something, whatever. And I'll start an OnlyFans. I don't think that by itself, because you could argue that a lot of reaction videos stop the ability, even on YouTube, from you having to go watch the original. I very highly doubt that people are engaging in multiple sides of it. Like if you watch, let's say you watch Abbott and Preach, they're fun, and they react to a Jubilee video. You're probably not going to go watch that Jubilee video, even though they do like transformative editing out of it, because you got you're there for their commentary on it. And if you liked Jubilee videos without them, you probably already watched it before they started reacting to it. And then that gets into a conversation about like how long should you have to wait until you post like your reaction to somebody's content. Like maybe you should wait a couple of days, or I typically wait a day or two before I post mine. So a few moving parts there.
Is extremely low effort and easy to do. Why?
It's still,
because you're just piggybacking on the work of the original person. And whether XQC is in the room
like
or
pygmies.
not, there's an argument to be made that his borderline incoherent babbling might not even qualify as the commentary or criticism necessary.
Hey, that's some kind of racist. Isn't he French? Huh? What are you, xenophobic? I love Xena. She's so hot. You guys remember Xena the Warrior Princess?
Fair use anyway. Honestly, I think my dog could offer about the same level of incisive commentary as XQC during most of his live streams. Yeah, if you want to feel bad, just remember that apparently this garbage is apparently worth $100 million to the streaming platform Kick. But there are some live—
Oh, this is what did it for me. You know what I mean? Like, look at this. You know what I mean? This fucked me up. This fucked me up forever. You know what I mean? Like, this is it. That's why I like brunettes, strong featured brunettes. With attitudes. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You really. Hey, I was essentially groomed into liking women like that. Okay.
streamers who do things the right way. If you get permission or you get a license from the person who owns the rights to the videos, then by all means, it's great that you are getting that permission and then reacting to it. And if you want an example of people who do reaction content right that aren't lawyers on YouTube, there's a popular YouTuber, Ludwig. Not only has he
almost said a gut, but then he said popular on accident, so I'll give him a pass on that one.
Video differentiating between a genuine reaction video and stolen content, he's also held in high regard among other content creators for his ethical streaming practices. In particular, he asks for permission. And when he reacts to a fantastic series like Jetlag, also available on Nebula, he continually suggests that people sign up for Nebula so they can watch Jetlag where it was originally published. So Ludwig is evidence that it's not impossible. And another example of someone who does reaction content the right way is Dr. Mike. He is only looking at little snippets, and then he is talking about how that snippet relates to his chosen practice. Obviously, medicine. Now, you don't have to be a lawyer.
Well, I think you kind of have to do that for television because they have like automatic DMCA shit, and they'll fight to the death on that. So you kind of, obviously it's a little different, but yeah, you're right.
Or a doctor to do reaction content. You do need to make commentary about the thing you are reviewing, and you, generally speaking, can't use the entirety of the work. You should have some forethought about what you're going to use and what's not necessary.
Forethought sounds like pre-watching, and I'm not some fucking dirty pre-watching bitch, okay? I don't pre-watch anything. This is all off the dome, okay? You think I'm gonna do extra work? If I was to do extra work, I wouldn't be fucking reacting, brother. All right, fuck that shit, bitch. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing it up a little bit. I don't pre-watch because that is dirty, but yeah.
Necessary. And ultimately, non-transformative re-uploading of videos hurts content creators, free rides off of their hard work, and likely infringes on their IP rights. If these videos are re-uploaded in their entirety, it should be left up to the original content creator to approve or reject it. And remember, there's a super...
Well, to an extent it is. You could like go into the system and be like, hey, I want to take this one down and whatnot. And I think that generally speaking, amongst reactors, you know, there is an infrastructure for people to do that, to be able to say like, hey, if you don't like this, reach out to me and remove it. Pretty sure XQC has it under his videos. Same thing with Asmongold. That's like, hey, if you don't like this, you can reach out to me and I'll take it down. Or you could put in a DMCA strike or a DMCA claim. And, you know, they probably won't fight it because it's not really worth the fight. So, you know.
Easy way to get around this. Just ask permission from the original content creator. Though in defense of live streaming reaction videos, Hassan Abi said, quote, 90% of creators don't mind. They like it when we're watching their videos. I'm a content creator and I love it when people react to my videos. But the thing is that even if 90% of those people would agree to it if you ask them, you still have to ask them or it's copyright infringement. And that, of course...
yeah, so then just put in a claim for it. Be like, yeah, I don't like this. Because on the other hand, as much as people complain about it, I think that it has a positive impact on the atmosphere. Even if they're like, for me, if somebody decided to react to like this video of me doing commentary and they added to it and maybe they didn't add as much as I'm adding to the original, I still wouldn't care because I think that's still getting me out to a new audience that's not my audience and potentially pulling me onto that, like those new audience members onto my audience, right? So I don't necessarily think it's an issue.
Leaves out at least 10%. It's probably more than 10% of content creators do actually mind, and you are
I think most people don't give a shit. I think most content creators don't give a singular fuck about it at all. You know, so
explicitly going against their wishes. So ultimately, the easiest way around...
Then DMCA it. Like, for instance, Vince Vintage that didn't like XQC shit. Like, he didn't reach out. But Vince Vintage and I are friends. And, like, I've reacted to some of his content. And he doesn't mind. Like, he likes it. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people, especially, like, they're fine with, like, the type of reactions I do, especially. Why don't shut the fuck up? You know? So...
this that's good for everyone is just ask for permission. But streamers need to realize that not only is it legally required to ask for permission in many, if not most of these circumstances, as well as it being the morally right thing to do, it's also in their pecuniary interest. Someday a lawyer is going to explain the concept of statutory damages to them, and they're not going to be happy about that. Until then, you can support creators directly by getting a membership to today's sponsor, Nebula. Neo and I are not only on Nebula, but we're...
You know, I wonder if how that would work, like if in the future somebody decided to start like... here's the thing, because here's the defense, because that sounds like to me, and maybe I'm misinterpreting this, what that sounds like to me is like, hey, one day somebody could sue you for damages, and if you reacted a ton of their content, they could potentially sue you and get all the backlogged earnings. I'm pretty sure they couldn't do that because there's a general atmosphere on YouTube that this type of content is acceptable by YouTube, and it's being done by bigger content creators, which set a standard. And the reason I bring it up like that is because my understanding is like, let's say somebody drives your car and they get your car towed, right? They drive your car, they get your car towed, it costs $500, and you decide not to go get it out for a month, and that goes from $500 to $2,000 or more. they're not responsible for that $1,500 difference for you not going and taking care of it within a reasonable amount of time. And I feel like parts of that could cover that idea as well of like in the future some kind of a damages, because they had plenty of time to put in for a DMCA strike, and it's also an atmosphere set by YouTube, which shows or tells it communicates to people that this is generally acceptable in some capacity. So yeah. And plus, well, I think he's talking about getting permission for full video reactions, I'm assuming, because yeah, like you said, Ethan didn't ask for permission. Yeah, that's right, but I think that's what maybe being silly. But okay.
We're both co-owners because Nebula is a streaming platform built for and by creators. And this month only, they're doing something wild. Just until the end of the month, Nebula is offering a lifetime membership. Instead of a subscription, it's a one-time payment that will get you everything Nebula offers forever. I've seen a lot of speculation about this. No, Nebula is not going bankrupt, Linus. On the contrary.
Well, that is kind of weird, though. Why would they feel the need to do that? To do a lifetime membership? Because I could see why somebody would be a little skeptical about the existence of a platform that's like, yeah, we're going to give you the option to do an entire lifetime membership. Why? Why? Like, to me, that shows long-term distrust in your product. So...
It's more successful than it's ever been. But we're offering lifetime memberships for a select few fans so that we can make even more original content. Huge productions from your favorite creators. And we're in it for the long haul. Lifetime memberships allow us to not take on outside investors. It's the opposite of a going out of business sale. It's a going into much bigger business.
But that doesn't make any sense because in the long term, you're losing money if your product stays on, unless you think that your retention rate is so low that somebody getting a lifetime membership is actually against their best interests. So from a long-term perspective, if it's $5 a month, I think is what it was, and it's a $300 membership, what is that, 5 years? In 5 years time, like, where's this company going to be? Unless they think that people would have already canceled anyway because of how boring it is, or maybe most people subscribe for like one content creator who makes sporadic content, and they're better if they feel like they'll just cancel and only do it every other month. It just doesn't make any sense.
And if you're new here, Nebula offers tons of exclusive videos from me, original series from your favorite people, movies, plays, classes, and more, including the hit series Jetlag that Ludwig was actually raving about. And with your favorites like Neo, Jetlag, Real Engineering, Real Life Lore, and Legal Eagle, we create the content that other people actually react to. You can see my feature-length documentary, Bad Law Words Good, and my other Nebula exclusive content includes my full-length interview with the screenwriter of My Cousin Vinny, and my Not Safe for Work video about lawsuits that are too hot for YouTube. But like I said, for this month only, you can get an exclusive lifetime membership. It's $300 for life. No tricks, no gimmicks, that's it forever. And if that's not your speed, that's completely fine. You can still get a 40% discount on yearly subscriptions that pencils out to less than $3 per month. If you want to pay monthly, you have that option too. So click on the link that's on screen now or down below to get your lifetime membership or a huge 40% discount. Just click right now down below before that deal goes away. Then after that, click on this link over here for more Legal Eagle, or I'll see you in court.
All right, cool video, guys. Cool video. It looks like I'm safe for now, you know.